my god, is that the sun? It's like the first time I've seen sun in days. Wow. So we all have that dream project, the thing that we really want, the thing that we want to make that we want, the thing that got us into the thing, right? And there's mine. And we're not working on it today. Today we're gonna make some Hobbity inspired clothing because why not? Okay, so I thought I should share because I am in the process of completely rethinking my costume for the Foundations Revealed contest. I didn't like what I managed to do, so what I'm going to do instead is something still, I think, from The Hobbit, but also completely different. And this is just a polyester suiting that I had. This is the bodice fronts, and I'm using a McCall's pattern for this. But what I'm going to do is I'd like it to close with buttons instead of laces. So I'm going to basically take this same front and we're going to extend it out. So where it would have been here, I'm going to give it I'm going to give it another 2 inches, basically, and not because it doesn't fit, but rather because I would like for it to have buttons going down center front. So that's what we're going to do with that, and if it doesn't work, that's fine. I have plenty of fabric. I could do it the way the pattern calls for. And I think I will probably go ahead and give this a little bit more structure as well, and add a couple of zip ties for boning. You can't see me. Okay, so I just got back from the fabric store and I got myself a few things to hopefully help expedite this process. So we got some fusible interfacing because I need a little bit more structure in here. We have some buttons, some skirt hooks, some red, some of this really pretty red linen and rayon blends for the skirt, which I think I might trim at the bottom, so maybe we'll see. But also I got this red velvet finish poly lace, oh my god, ribbon. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to take some cotton cording and kind of stitch in between there to create piping, and I'm hoping to run this piping into the seams, so to tie into the skirt. And then I'm so excited about this. I got this super pretty trim, and this trim is going to go on the waistcoats. If it ends up turning into a waistcoat, which would be nice, but we shall see. We shall see. Oh, you know what? I forgot the ribbon that goes in the back. God damn it. This is just cutting out the necessary interfacing. And this is steaming on the interfacing. This was supposed to be a fusible interfacing, but I don't think it was. Or it's just that fusible interfacing never works, no matter how much you steam it. right here, I want to add some piping. So we're going to do a couple of tests. I have this and I have this. I think this might be too thin. So we see, let's see. Test. So I've kind of hit a bit of a conundrum. I have mocked up what it might look like with the buttons that I'm going to use and the trim, and now I'm trying to decide which piping I should use, and it's very wobbly because I just pinned it in place. On top I have a very lovely polyester velvet, and then here it's just a gross grain ribbon that's been wrapped around some cotton cording. They've both been wrapped around cotton cording actually. So the gross grain, which has more texture, well, they both have texture, which texture matches the twill weave of the waistcoat better, or the velvet, which just looks fancier. I don't know. And these colors are very washed out. Here, hold on, let me see if I could change the settings. Okay, that is marginally better, but I still think the color is like, this is darker than it's appearing on camera. It's more of like a coffee, not like a dark coffee, but like what coffee actually looks like, rather than the warmer golden undertones that you're seeing there. It doesn't really have golden undertones. It more has like the colder espresso undertones to it, but whatever. Okay, so but I'm just trying to get it closer in relation to the trim, which is more of a rust tone. These are more red, but the skirt fabric I'm using is also very red, and it really matches the gross grain better than the velvet. I just really like the velvet, so I don't know. So I've asked the best friend, and the best friend has yet to respond, so it's gonna sit there for a minute while we figure this out. Okay, so a quick update on what I've done since my battery died. I went ahead and installed snaps so I could get it on and off a lot easier when I go to do the fitting. These snaps will stay in place, these will come off and then get reattached after I apply the lining. On the front I did go ahead and apply the piping, although I might rip this out again and redo it because I keep getting some puckering here, which is annoying. So those two front pieces are pretty much done, and I also barely see it, but I also went ahead and did some fittings. So this will get trimmed back a bit, and then it will be stitched along this red line, and that will be the actual new seam line on this, since it was a little bit big. I think probably because I extended that piece out to accommodate for the buttonholes that didn't actually go into it. And then on this side, again, I did the same thing. I altered it along the waist so that it'll fit me, and then I will be taking maybe about an inch out of the center of the back panel. I did not flatline the back panel because I don't like structured backs on garments. They're not flattering. And I've got the piping pinned in place, but I haven't actually gone in and sewn it yet. So that's next. Then I'll trim the seam allowances back and the interfacing back, and then go ahead and seam up the side seams as well as taking the excess out of the back. Mess up a center back seam? I'd like to know. mess up the center back seam. Okay, so now we have the bodice made up, front and back. There it is. There's something so satisfying about piping. Oh, I love it. It's so pretty. So now I'm going to turn my attention to the lining, and first I need to go ahead and make my pattern modifications, and then we will cut it out. And the lining is going to be made out of this wonderful little mushroom fabric that I found at Cloth Guide Fabrics, which is a local quilter shop near me. I think I have a yard of this, which should be more than enough to do the bodice lining. But before that, we had to go in and adjust the pattern pieces to account for the changes I made to the actual vest itself. So once we had the lining pieces cut out and sorted, I went ahead and removed the snaps that I had put in place so that I could attach the lining instead. And once those were out of the way, we went ahead and attached the lining fabric to the bottom edge of the waistcoat, and then just flipped it right side up to then go in and attach the top edge. And this process was a nightmare. I am pretty sure I did something wrong when I transferred the pattern, or when I modified the pattern, and that piping created so much bulk because of how thick that ribbon was, and it was just, attaching that lining was really hard. And after attaching that lining for approximately eternity, I went ahead and ironed down the bottom edge so it would sit nice and crisp and flat. And then something easy, we went ahead and just cleaned up that button side edge with some nice, neat, tidy felling stitches. Okay, so I've been wearing it around for a couple hours now around the house, and the fit is pretty okay and comfortable. I've got the lining peeking out like here and also there, which I don't like at all, not one bit, so I'm gonna have to get creative on how I'm gonna fix that. The front is like a little bit, whenever I bend over, it likes to just do this number. Don't know how to fix that, and I'm lazy, so we did snaps, which you will do fake buttons. I think maybe if I did proper buttons, maybe it wouldn't do that. I don't know. But I also don't want to sew buttonholes because they kind of terrify me. So we might just stick with this and call it a day. Don't know. We'll see what happens when I apply the buttons. So I think I fixed the strap issue. It's no longer too big there. And I think on this side the lining is still showing, and I've yet to figure out a way to fix that. So we're gonna leave it alone for now. In the meantime, what I have here is a half circle skirt, and I've already cut it out. I just used a Google image search thing to figure out the calculator for it. I went ahead and turned up the hem. I just pinned it down so I could base it, and then I will turn it up again to have a very narrow hem at the bottom there. I don't think there's any pleatings. I think the waist measurement is like perfectly perfect, and if it's just slightly off, then I will tuck that into the seam when I go ahead and seam up the center. This is not going to close with a zipper. I don't like zippers. I don't like installing zippers. So this is going to close with buttons and skirt hooks. Yeah. But first, trimming. I just went ahead and tacked the trimming in place all along the top neckline of the vest. And despite doing my best to take accurate measurements on the skirt, I still somehow ended up with a waist that was just a smidgen too big. So I fixed this by just taking, I think, 4 little tiny pleats, I think inverted pleats, in order to just kind of cinch it down just the tiniest bit so it would actually fit my waist snugly and not have that little gaping issue at the back of my spine. And at that point, I needed to interface the plackets for the buttons, and I just used that same interfacing I used on the waistcoat, pinned it in place, and basted it in place so it wouldn't go anywhere, because I didn't trust it to fuse. For this, I did wax the thread because I was using a very thin cotton thread that was prone to tangling, and waxing it helps prevent it from forming knots. When that was done, I went ahead and attached it to the side seam of the circle skirt. Now on the circle skirt, I did the clever thing of cutting the one seam that is in the skirt on the selvage, so I didn't have to do any seam finishing all along the length of the skirt. And that is my new favorite way to make skirts, and that is how I will forever go in and make skirts. If it's one panel, that's how it's going to get made. This was just done with a not so tiny backstitch. And then I applied a facing to the placket so you wouldn't see the interfacing, and so the interfacing wouldn't do anything. I stitched it to the back, and then I just flipped it right sides out so that it would hide all of those raw edges along the edges. That done, I went ahead and seamed up the side seam. And again, this does not have to get finished because it's on the selvage. When I said I was going to do the hem first, what I meant was I did the hem way back when, and for some reason the clip ended up way back here. So yeah, here's proof. I did actually hem. I basted it first, and then I just turned and felled it. So there's slight I think it's called blind stitching or prick stitching. So where you just barely catch the outside of the fabric. So where you just end up with like a little divot instead of a stitch on the outside of on the outer portion of the skirt. It took forever until I remembered that, you know, you could tension the fabric on a tailor's ham so that you don't strain your hand, A, and it goes faster, B, because you have more control over what you're doing because the tension is being provided by something else. Alright, so there it is. I hope that was as much fun for you to watch as it was for me to make. And frankly, I feel like a Disney princess in this outfit. The only thing I would change, if I had to make this again, which I'll probably make the skirt again, is I would change the snaps along the side because I have them facing that way when really they should be facing that way. So it'd just be like reversing the plackets or the placement of the plackets so that it's not seen from the front. Other than that, I absolutely adore this outfit and I think I'm gonna wear it all the time as much as I can. I'll probably make it in more colors because the waistcoat is hecka stinking cute and the skirt is really pretty and I'm already thinking I need more peasant tops. So yeah, I had a lot of fun making this and thank you for watching. If you would like to see more, be sure to subscribe, and if you have any comments, please let me know down below if you have any questions or concerns or advice. I'm always willing to take advice because I really don't know what I'm doing here, so thanks. Also, someone's pouting because we were outside and then we came inside and I'm pretty sure he wants to go back outside. You have your bones. You have your tennis balls and a bed. Oh my god, don't look at me like that. Oh, I might have to go back outside.